Welcome to today's Catholic Daily Readings from Christus Dominus Bread of Life. A reading from the book of Ecclesiastes. All is vanity, says Ecclesiastes, all is vanity. For when a man has labored in wisdom and knowledge and carefulness, he leaves behind what he has obtained to an idle man. And so this too is a vanity and a great evil. For what does it profit a man from all his labor, by which he has been troubled under the sun? All his days are full of sorrows and miseries, and even at night his mind does not rest. And is this not also vanity?
If today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts. You turn man back to dust, saying, return, O children of men. For 1,000 years in your sight are as yesterday, now that it is past, or as a watch of the night. If today you hear his voice, harden not your heart. You make an end of them in their sleep. The next morning they are like the changing grass, which at dawn springs up anew, but by evening wilts and fades. If today you hear his voice, harden not your heart. Teach us to number our days aright, that we may gain wisdom of heart. Return, O Lord, how long? Have pity on your servants. If today you hear his voice, harden not your heart. Fill us at daybreak with your kindness, that we may shout for joy and gladness all our days. And may the gracious care of the Lord our God be ours. Prosper the work of our hands for us. Prosper the work of our hands. If today you hear his voice, harden not your heart. If today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts.
A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Colossians. Therefore, if you have risen together with Christ, seek the things that are above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Consider the things that are above, not the things that are on the earth. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. Therefore mortify your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, lust, evil desire, and avarice, which is the service of idols. Stop lying to one another. Strip yourselves of the old man with his deeds, and clothe yourselves with the new man, who has been renewed by knowledge in accord with the image of the one who created him, where there is neither Gentile nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian nor Scythian, slave nor free. Instead, Christ is everything in everyone. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. And someone from the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to share the inheritance with me." But he said to him, "Man, who has appointed me as judge or arbitrator over you?" And he said to them, "Be cautious and wary of all avarice, for a person's life is not found in the abundance of the things that he possesses." And he told them a parable, saying, "The fertile land of a certain wealthy man produced an abundant harvest. And he thought within himself, saying, What should I do? For I have nowhere to gather my crops. And he said, This is what I will do. I will tear down my barns and build larger ones, and I will gather all my crops and goods into them. And I will say to my soul, Soul, you have many goods stored up for many years. Take your rest, eat, drink, and be cheerful." But God said to him, "Fool, this very night they will demand your soul from you. And what you have prepared, whose will it be? So it is with he who stores up for himself and is not wealthy with God." Join us for today's reflection. Forbes magazine calls it the rich man's problem. After you've made your first million, then 10 million, then 100 million, what's next? How much is enough? When can you finally stop accumulating and start living? The answer, according to every billionaire they've interviewed, is always the same, just a little bit more. That's exactly the mindset Jesus confronts in today's parable of the rich fool. A man's land produces an abundant harvest. So abundant that his existing storage can't hold it all. Instead of seeing this as an opportunity to be generous, to share with those in need, to invest in relationships that matter, he sees it as a storage problem. What shall I do, for I do not have space to store my harvest? Notice he doesn't ask, how can I use this blessing to bless others? He doesn't wonder, what is God trying to teach me through this abundance? His only concern is logistical, where to put more stuff, so he makes a plan. "I shall tear down my barns and build larger ones. There I shall store all my grain and other goods, and I shall say to myself, Now as for you, you have so many good things stored up for many years. Rest, eat, drink, be merry." It's the ancient version of early retirement. Work hard, save enough, and then you can finally start enjoying life. The problem with this plan isn't that it's immoral. The problem is that it's delusional. "You fool," God says to him, "this night your life will be demanded of you, and the things you have prepared, to whom will they belong?" The man spent his whole life preparing for a future that would never come, building security that would never protect him, accumulating wealth that would never actually be his to enjoy. Ecclesiastes captures this perfectly. Vanity of vanities, all things are vanity. The Hebrew word hevel means vapor, breath, something that appears substantial but is actually empty, like trying to grab smoke with your hands. This isn't about money being evil. This is about the illusion that accumulating enough stuff can somehow protect you from the fundamental uncertainty of human existence. Paul understands this in his letter to the Colossians. "If you were raised with Christ, seek what is above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Think of what is above, not of what is on earth." The rich man's fundamental mistake wasn't having wealth. It was thinking earthly security could solve his spiritual problem. He was trying to use temporary things to address eternal concerns. But here's what makes this story so challenging for us today. We live in a culture that's completely built on the rich man's logic. Work hard so you can retire early. Save enough so you don't have to worry. Accumulate sufficient resources so you can finally be secure. The entire financial planning industry is based on the assumption that if you just calculate correctly and save diligently enough, you can create a future where you don't have to depend on God, other people, or anything beyond your own accumulated resources. Jesus isn't condemning planning or saving or working hard. He's exposing the lie that material accumulation can ever provide the security our souls actually crave. The psalm reminds us that our days are like grass that springs up in the morning and withers by evening. Teach us to number our days aright, that we may gain wisdom of heart. The wisdom isn't in pretending we're going to live forever. The wisdom is in living each day aware that it might be our last. This changes everything about how you approach wealth, work, and security. Instead of asking, "How much do I need to retire?" you ask, "How much is enough for today?" Instead of building bigger barns, you look for ways to be generous with what you have right now. Instead of planning for the day when you'll finally have enough to start living, you recognize that this day, this moment, this breath is the only life you're guaranteed to have. The rich fool made three fatal assumptions. First, that his wealth was actually his rather than something entrusted to him by God. Second, that he had unlimited time to enjoy what he had accumulated. Third, that material security could satisfy spiritual longing. All three assumptions are still destroying people today. We act like our resources belong to us rather than recognizing ourselves as stewards. We postpone living while we prepare for living. We try to fill spiritual emptiness with material fullness. Paul's solution is radical. Put to death, then, the parts of you that are earthly. Not your body, but your earthly thinking. Your belief that more stuff equals more security. Your assumption that you can accumulate your way to peace. Instead, clothe yourselves with the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge in the image of its creator. Stop trying to be God by controlling your future through accumulation. Start being human by trusting God with your security. The wisdom of Ecclesiastes, the urgency of the psalm, and the clarity of Paul all point to the same truth. Life is short, eternity is long, and nothing you can accumulate on earth will travel with you beyond the grave. This doesn't mean becoming irresponsible with money or refusing to plan for the future. It means holding everything lightly, sharing generously, and remembering that your security comes from your relationship with God, not your relationship with your bank account. The fool built bigger barns because he thought more storage would bring more peace. The wise person builds deeper relationships, invests in eternal things, and holds today's blessings with open hands, ready to share them with others or release them to God as needed. Which kind of person are you building yourself into? Because one day, perhaps sooner than you think, that choice will be all that matters.